All right, so look, this is gonna be a short video because I still got videos on here that I either need to delete or upload, and so it's like minimizing the amount of time I'm gonna be able to make a video. As the title suggests, it's gonna be about Paul George. Look, man, I'm going to defend Paul George until the chickens come home to roost, right? I've been a fan of his since he was, Indiana Pacer way back when he first got drafted. Okay. The series that he had with the Miami Heatles is some of the best basketball I had an opportunity to watch. You know what I'm saying? And he always showed up. So when he started saying playoff P, I was like, he already proved that to me. Like when he was a young 22, 23-year-old and he was facing LeBron and Wade and them, and he didn't back down, and he was giving them buckets and everything. Like the reason I think it was the 2013, the reason that they went to Game 7 was because of Game 6, Paul George, win or go home, and he sat there and lit their asses up. And quite frankly, LeBron, who was basically at the height of his prowess, especially on the defensive end, none of them could stop him. They threw everything they had at Paul George, and and if you don't believe me, go back and look at the highlights of that first series they had. And this is when they still had Danny Granger, if I'm not mistaken. Go back and look at Game 6 of that series and just go look at the highlights. And Paul George was just cooking them. Just cooking them. So when people are online and they slandering Paul George and stuff, and they trying to go in and insult him, Pandemic P and all this other shit, I'm just like, bruh, dude is one of the best scorers in the game, one of the smoothest scorers in the game. I'm not surprised that when Kawhi goes out, Paul George is able to finish a series off. I'm not surprised that he can go in and extend the series when they're down 3-1. He's done this already. He did it in Indiana. And that team was George Hill, Lance, PG, Roy Hibbert, Danny Granger, David West. You know what I'm saying? They had a really solid team. They had vets along with the young guys too. Okay? Balanced squad. Good leadership. Danny Granger was important to them, by the way. And when he left, when they shipped him out, everything kind of fell apart. Having said all that, all this slander for Paul George has to stop, man. The dude is a hooper. He can play. And people want to say he ain't showed up in the playoffs. Dude has showed up in the playoffs before. Okay? He's had his games. The only thing that separates Paul George from the others is he don't have the true superstar ability. Like, he can have it, but he can't sustain it like a KD can, like a Steph or Kawhi. Y'all know my viewership. Y'all know my views on superstars, right? He's an MVP level candidate player. To me. But there's a huge gap between MVP level and the gods of the league. There's a huge gap between those two. So I don't like having to sit here and make a whole discussion video about Paul George. Look, dude dropping, I think right now 27, 10, and 6. Okay? On efficient shooting. And he's doing this. He's first time the Clippers are in the conference finals. He's gotten 2 games off of Booker, CP3, 8, the Phoenix Suns. And it's just him as the lone superstar or that guy. He was in the East. He got matched up against the bad teams when he did get into the playoffs like LeBron. He challenged LeBron. It wasn't like he wasn't putting up numbers against LeBron when he was solo dolo and didn't have anything. So to me, I expect this shit from Paul George. This is just premium Paul George. This is why I wanted him on several teams when he had an opportunity to be traded. When Lonzo and them was still on the Lakers, I wanted Paul George. On the Mavs, I wanted Paul George. And if any number of teams in the league right now, if they offered up Paul George, guess what? They're going to call and inquire about him. Now, what he isn't he's not going to be that guy who is going to outduel the gods. He's just not. There's no way he can do that. That's just not who he is. But what he is he's got enough skill and talent level that he can go and put up enough points and have enough effect on the game to neutralize or minimize every so often what they can do. I don't think you ever put him in a matchup with LeBron James in a 7-game series and he's just going to straight up beat him if the teams are equal. But I think a couple of those games, Paul George can put up equal numbers to LeBron. You know, he put up 41 and 13 last night, 41-13, and I think like 5 or something ridiculous. Okay? That can match some of LeBron's best playoff performances. If I'm being real, I've seen LeBron put up like 43, 8, and 8. So if he put up 43, 13, and 5, guess what? You know, you right there. You matching LeBron. Okay? So does he have the thing to beat LeBron? No, he's not Steph, he's not Kawhi, he's not KD. Okay? But he's still a fantastic player. So I don't get this slander. Okay, fine. Last year, they flamed out. Year before, Russell Westbrook. Year before that, Russell Westbrook. Year before that, Pacers. And I think the last time he was in the playoffs with the Pacers, he got swept by LeBron. And there was still the infamous thing at the end of the game where it's like he passed up the ball to get it back, which I don't have an issue with that. It was trying to like, okay, let me get the pressure off of me so that I could get open and get a better shot. Smart basketball. I don't have an issue with that. He just never got the shot back because if you go back and look at it, he was begging for the ball. It's like, give it to me. I can take the shot right here. Give me the ball. And they just never got it to him. By the way, that's where a guy like Lonzo Ball comes into play. It's like, okay, I'll look for my guy to get him the ball. But anywho, we'll get into that. The Paul George slander got to stop, man. Like, dude is a mad hooper. Like, he finished top 3 in MVP vote next to Westbrook a few years ago when he was put up, like, career highs across the board and was a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. A guy like that on your team is a godsend. It is a godsend. But for us to be sitting here or for me to be sitting here having to defend this guy when he's done more in the league than most people will ever do, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And honestly, if it was up to me, I would take Paul George over Brandon Ingram right now because Paul George is much more established on the defensive end. And so for me, if you told me I had to switch out B.I. and Paul George, I'd do it in a heartbeat because I automatically know next year the only defensive liability on the team is Zion. And I already know Paul George can match anything. And I do mean anything that B.I. could do. And exceeded. It's an upgrade. You know. And it's funny because I think the Lakers were considering at one point trading B.I. to the Pacers for Paul George. And that didn't happen. I can't remember the context or the reason why it didn't happen, but that was on the table. And y'all know I've mentioned on this channel before, I would love to do a Karis LeVert B.I. swap. I think Indiana would be a great place for Brandon Ingram to be like the guy and to kind of like rise in popularity in the league. He'll probably jump up to a guy 28, 29 points a game on efficient shooting all over the court, and you probably get him to play defense too. And with Rick Carlisle out there now, I'd be interested to see how Rick Carlisle would run him. But yeah, man, this PG slander got to stop. It's ridiculous. The guy just went out there, put up 43 points, and if he go lose if they get eliminated from the playoffs, they still go talk shit about him, despite the fact that he's putting up fucking numbers in the postseason, and even despite him missing Kawhi Leonard, he's still got an overall like neutral positive record. So, I mean, what they lost Kawhi game 5, went and won game 6. Did they go to game 7? I think they did. So game 6 and 7 go on now. You just took 2 games off of one of the teams that's likely going to be in the finals because, like I said, I don't think they're going to win against Phoenix, but you took 2 games off of them. And you're undermanned. You're missing your starting center and you're missing your other superstar gun. Okay? Possibility Phoenix could go on to be the champs. I doubt it. If it's Phoenix versus Giannis, I think I'm taking Giannis. And that one's going to be interesting because that's a coin flip. That truly is a coin flip for me. I can see that series going either way, but I'm taking Giannis. And so losing to, whatever, losing to the conference champion is not, it's not a bad thing. Taking 2 games off of them under man is not a bad thing. Hell, Steph did that to the fucking Toronto Raptors when he lost KD, Clay, and a couple others was banged up. So, this shit happens. But the PG slander got to stop. Dude is a hooper. That's all I got, man. Y'all have a good one. Peace.